Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Phil Anthony. I am with the International Code Council as our Digital Code Solutions Specialist, and we present these monthly webinars about our Digital Codes premium products, features, and all the things to help you with your code research. Each month, though, we do like to put in a special focus topic, so we're going to be talking about our compliance calculators. And we have two special guests that I'll let introduce themselves as we finish here. A couple quick notes I'll make. We are recording. We will send out the recording link after the meeting, probably next week. But everyone who has registered will receive that. Also, we'll make note that we encourage you to ask questions in the chat. Go ahead and use the chat function. Post your questions to everyone so they can read what's being asked as well too. If they're quick questions about Digital Codes Premium or anything like that, I will be monitoring that and answering those. If it's something that Laurent is presenting on and you think it's important for me to interrupt him, I will do so. He won't be monitoring the chat though. He's going to focus on his presentation, but please keep the conversation going in the chat. We'll answer questions as we go through here. And now let me introduce Dan Janicek. Go ahead.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're connecting from. Thanks for taking the time out to join us today. As Phil had alluded to, we've got a special topic and a special guest here today to talk to us about our compliance calculators that are a part of all Digital Codes Premium subscription offerings. Before we dive into that, just wanted to give a brief overview of the platform for anybody who might be newer to it. Digital Codes is the largest, most trusted, authoritative collection of building code standards and more, all online, so available 24/7, anywhere in the world that you may be, as long as you're connected to the internet. Within those titles are the I codes, the model codes that ICC authors and updates every 3 years that are the most widely used and enforced codes in the world, as well as a growing set of custom titles where ICC works with local, state, and governments, authorities having jurisdiction, to integrate their amendments and author an integrated version of the contents of those enforceable codes for convenience for all across the market to be able to access those. And then in addition to the enforceable codes, we've got a number of standards and supplemental titles that continue to provide context into how the codes are written and how to enforce them for complex situations. Layered on top of the content is tools and features that drive more efficiency and collaboration for you and your teams. Included in those are our AI Navigator, an AI-powered interactive tool to ask questions, provide answers with references to relevant code sections, as well as our growing set of compliance calculators. We've got Laurent Guerin from ClearCalcs here to talk a little bit more about it. It's a strategic partnership that ICC and ClearCalcs have formed, recognizing their expertise in the structural engineering space and ICC's access and growing set of content. It was a tailor-made match. We started this about a year and a half ago with 3 pilot calculators. And with the extended engagement, we are combining the expertise that ClearCalcs has along with the subject matter expertise of ICC to develop more custom calculators that expand beyond the structural space and solve needs across our customers. So with that being said, Laurent, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Hey, everybody. My name is Laurent. I'm from ClearCalcs, as Dan mentioned. So I guess I'm a structural engineer by trade, by education, but working in a software company now called ClearCalcs. What I do here, I'm leading our team of engineers. We're a team of mostly structural engineers spread across the world who make calculators. Let me just switch this. Basically, why do we make these calculators? ClearCalcs, our goal in life is we want to be the platform where designs get done. Whether that's with a beam design, whether that's with a floor plan design or something like that, we want to be that platform. And so how we do that? Well, we create online design calculators. And I'd say right now, like Dan mentioned, mostly with a focus on the structural engineering world, but very quickly growing into other parts of the AEC sector as well. But I think where it gets really interesting too is beyond the calculators. We've kind of got the calculators and we build everything around that, and we're basically here to make professionals like you, whether that's code reviewers, architects, engineers, building designers, whichever they might be, we're here to help you work faster, smarter, and to have better confidence in the results in your designs. So just some ideas about how we do this right now. We've got a lot of built-in integrations, and we're adding more every week actually right now. So whether that's with your Teams channel right now, if you want to integrate with your task management software, whatever that might be, we've got all these integrations built in. It's some pretty cool stuff, and hopefully can help you and your team be a bit more productive. We've got some calculation reports that are going to come out as well when you do your calculators, and we'll look at some of these today as part of this presentation and some of the examples that we'll do. And the cool thing, I think, especially if you're working in a smaller office or perhaps you solo, all of our calculators, they're vetted, they're certified by some external experts as well. So in this case with ICC, for instance, we run through ICC because ICC are the expert for these calculators. We also deal with other engineers depending what it is, but the idea here is that we want to make sure that you can trust your calculators, again, so that you can have confidence. It's a cloud platform, so you can access it anywhere. We've got a lot of users actually pulling up ClearCalcs on their phone on site when somebody makes a small mistake in the plan and they need to fix something real quick. And I think one of the things that I'm really excited to talk about too, I won't say too much here because we'll focus on the compliance calcs, but something that I'd love for you all to think about is that we're building a do-it-yourself calculator builder. So a lot of the calcs that you're seeing right now, you're going to be able to make some like that on your own, obviously with some restrictions to make sure that you can actually be fast and productive and that we can help you ensure your quality, but that's something that we're very excited to be releasing soon. So anyways, that's what we do. Why it makes sense for us to work with ICC and why I'm here today is that we work in the building codes every single day. That includes, and actually a lot of it is ICC with the International Building Code and other standards that are associated with that. And so for us, this is a natural thing where we make calculators. I'd say we're pretty good at making calculators. ICC are the experts, and so for us, it's just natural of like, well, let's make some calculators for ICC. We already use this stuff. We know how people are interacting with the standards, and we hope, we'll look at this today, and we're looking for your feedback on if we can do better. But I think we've got a pretty good idea here, and we're happy to help on design professionals again, because we want to be the platform where designs get done. Okay, so now enough about ClearCalcs. Let's talk about compliance calc specifically. So if you've got a Digital Codes Premium subscription, you might have noticed when you logged in this thing on the tab on the left, it says compliance calcs. This is a feature that's available to all the DCP users. I encourage you to go and try it out. It's a pretty cool feature, and we'll go through some examples. But first of all, you have access to it if you're a DCP user. The point here is basically we've got these calculators. These are built directly on the code provisions from the International Building Code, International Plumbing Code, all the different codes. And so what it is basically, just to give an example, for instance, we've got our allowable area calculator that's based on your occupancy class, on your number of stories, on different provisions in the International Building Code. We make these calculators so that you don't have to navigate through all the different clauses in the codes, but we also help you get to the clauses to understand better what these numbers are doing and where they're coming from. And I'll show that in the example again. The goal here basically is, like I said, we want you to be able to work faster and smarter, and that's the idea with the compliance calcs. We want this to be fast and simple. So I'll start with a caveat right now that this might not cover the extremely complex skyscraper with 25 different occupancy classes that you might be designing on a less than regular basis, though I'd love to actually try that. But most of our goal here is for, call it the standard buildings, the standard construction projects that are happening in the United States, to make sure that you can do those verifications, those designs very quickly. And specifically, we made this with plan reviewers and architects and our engineers in mind, but I'd say we've also tried to keep this as simple and as accessible as possible. So if you don't fit in one of those three labels, I think don't worry. I still think we're able to help you. And in fact, like I said, our goal is to make this accessible so that people can interpret the code as fast as possible, and we're here to help you. And right now we're working with IBC 2021. We're about to bring in other editions like 2024 and 2018. And perhaps I'll ask if you could put in the chat, just out of curiosity, I'd love to see, what building code are you typically working with right now in your office, in your jurisdiction? I'd love to hear. I know there's some big changes coming to quite a few states in 2026 with the IBC 2024, but I'd love to hear what you're working with right now. So thank you for that. as Dan said, this is an ongoing project, so we're making more and more calculators. Today we're going to focus more on the core building calculators. So these are the ones that we've done and developed specifically with ICC to help you with the kind of the core part of your code that you're doing for every building. So whether that's the occupancy classification, we'll go over this, the allowable area calculators, or the plumbing fixtures. I'll say all of these are also subject to improvement. And so I'll encourage you, as I'm going through these examples coming up, send us your feedback in the chat or in an email afterwards. We're always looking to make this better. So for instance, the occupancy classification, we're actually got a big project going on right now to make some pretty significant improvements and make it more flexible and more intuitive. So looking forward to that. But please send us your feedback as we go. And as Dan mentioned, we've also got the structural calc. So these are based off of regular ClearCalcs calculator, part of our normal software, call it. I'd encourage you to check these as well. I don't think we'll look too deep into these ones today, but certainly if you've got any questions or, again, any feedback or comments on these, please, we want to hear back from you as well. Okay, so I'd really like to just get into the platform. I personally just like to see things actually how they work. So I think let's jump right in. Let's look at the compliance calculators, and we're going to go through some examples together for this. And so let's start with a really simple one. We'll look at our occupancy classification. And so I heard through the rumor mill that they're opening a new pub at the ICC headquarters called the Wig and Pen. And so let's find out what occupancy class this is. Now, I'm going to guess that some of you are probably doing this daily, and you're going to say, this is a really, really simple example. Probably half of you already know the occupancy off the top of your head, if not more. But I think that the goal here is to show not just the compliance calcs, but also the features around it that can help you work better. So really appreciate if you want to share. Okay, so let me hop into Digital Codes Premium. Okay, I made a boo-boo. Give me 1 second.
And while Laurent is doing that, full disclaimer, this is a completely hypothetical made-up scenario. That being said, opening a pub at ICC headquarters would be phenomenal.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm in the DCP platform. If you're a DCP user, you've seen this many times. If you're not a DCP user, check it out, try it out. This is what it looks like. You can see, I won't go through the whole thing, but as you can see, you've got access to all the different I-codes, a lot of standards, different locations there for United States, global, by state, and then you've also got access to the commentaries, which are quite useful. And actually, the examples we're going to be going through today are mostly derived from the commentary, although the one about the pub at the ICC headquarters didn't make it into the official publication. So I'm going to go then on the left here in the menu, and I'm going down. You can see we've got the different code intelligence features. We're going to focus today, like we said, on the compliance calculators. So I'm going to open this here. And so this is it. This is your menu with the different compliance calculators. Keep checking. There's going to be more showing up here, and these are going to keep improving. But these are the ones we've got right now. If you want to find out more about ClearCalcs, about why we're collaborating with ICC and why ICC is with us, check it out. And there's some questions here as well. But for now, let's go right into the calculators. So we were talking about occupancy classification for a pub. So let's open this calculator here. And so the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to ignore all of this stuff right now, and I'm going to go to the edit project info. And I'm going to start here. So I'm going to put my name, Laurent, company, ClearCalcs, my email. I'll put that here, and you can write that down. If you've got any comments or feedback, you can send that to me. Ideally, send it directly through the ICC platform, but if you're in a bind or it's late at night and you don't know where to find it, just email me. I'll be happy to take a look. Project name, you get the idea here, pub at ICC perhaps. And the last thing I'll do here as well is I'll set up the address, so 200 Massachusetts Avenue, which is the ICC headquarters. And you'll see it gives you a little picture of the building here in Washington in this case. So once I've got this done, I'm going to come back now to my calculator here. And this is where we're going to start, right? So for a pub, this is going to be a place of assembly or entertainment. Now, this is where you can see by default we've got a very, very small room, right? 40 occupants with 50 square foot area. We're going to go and now put in 150 occupants, and the area is going to be 2,200 square feet. And then we basically ask you a questionnaire, right? And you'll see as we answer some of these questions, this stuff is going to kind of answer itself. Now, in this case, it's actually quite simple, as you'll see. We ask you, is this primarily open to the exterior? No, this is an interior pub. And then what's the best usage here? In this case, dining or beverage consumption. That's it. We're done, right? And so, as I'm sure most of you will already know, this is occupancy class A2. If I went, for instance, and said this is a movie theater, we could have, say, A1 or something like that. But in this case, it's A2. So, yeah, simple case, but just to show this off. And then the last part I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to download a PDF of this report. So this is if you want to document your stuff, if you want to include that as part of your project package, you can come here, I can open this, and you'll see now I've got this PDF. Obviously, the client right now is nothing. There's me, date, and then you've also got the address here. So this is there, and then we've got the references as well. So you can see this is the IBC 2021. So very quick example here, but I'm hoping shows a little bit about the features around exporting the report, about setting up your project so that you can have this part at the top filled out. Any questions, any thoughts up to now? I'd love to answer if there's anything.
Not yet.
Okay, perfect then. So let's
Multiple occupancy. There, someone got on.
Oh, that's a great question. So this is something that we're working on right now, actually. We're going to be bringing this in, and I think it's a fun one because when you've got more than one occupancy, obviously it affects a lot of different things in the code about how you want to handle this, and there's different rules for different areas. So I think that's going to be a really powerful feature that we bring in. Okay, we've got some more questions coming in. I'm seeing real quick.
All right, so first question, what do you have to put in the occupant load to have it pull from the code?
That's a great question, and I believe that's actually on our roadmap to build in a occupant load calculator. And so that's probably something that we'll bring into here right now. As of today, we'll ask you to put that in, but like we said, this is something that's in constant improvement, and we want you to have this as simple as possible. So stay tuned. There will be the occupant calculators, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah, and a couple other enhancements that we're working through right here, Laurent, with the including separated versus non-separated.
That's right.
Going to relate more to multiple occupancy, and then the accessory as well. So those are all pieces where accessory obviously opens up, gets very complex very quickly. That is actually the expanded focus that the teams are hard at work on behind the scenes right now.
That's right. That's right. And you will see we've got a little bit about occupancy, and actually I'll hop into the next example because I think it does actually show a little bit about the accessory occupancy. And so this one is pulled straight from the commentary of the IBC. So we've got a situation here where we've got the office. We've got an office building with the conference room, right, with the occupant load of 40. So let's go and put that one in the compliance calculator. So instead of a pub, you know, there's been a decision at ICC. Instead, we're building a conference room. So unfortunate for some, great for others who like conference rooms. Let's hop back into our compliance calcs and let's put this one in now. So if I come back to the compliance calculator, I'm going to come here and now I'm going to put my occupant load 40, and then my area is going to be 250 square feet. Now, I'm going to be asked, again, is this interior or exterior? Interior. Is it part of a multi-tenant building? In this case, it's going to be no. Now, immediately you'll see now, is this space accessory to a larger use? So in this case, yes, right? The conference room is accessory to the office use. So immediately you've got the occupancy class B or other occupancy, and that's based on this small assembly spaces clause in the building code. And so you can see here, for instance, what that looks like. So typically you'll put that B or the served occupancy. And so again, this is just to kind of show you the different paths that we can go down and how we answer these questions. But in this case, that is the one part where we do have the accessory assemblies. And I see Sanchel has the question here about the code reference. I'm going to save that one for the next example, but thank you for bringing that up. I really appreciate that. And for Claude with the 10% floor area, thank you for that. And that's something that right now, we're trusting you to do the check. That's something that we'll also be able to bring in as we go. But thank you for bringing that. That's a really good point. Okay, so that was a very quick example here. I'm going to go now into a bit more of a, call it complex example. So here we've got a retail store selling camp fuel. So I like to go camping myself, and I've got, I've got a little stove like this. So I buy these cans semi-regularly. And so I asked myself, well, hey, what occupancy class is that? Because it is a hazardous material, and it's classified in this case type IA. In this case, our store here, our hypothetical store, is carrying. Oh, sorry, I thought I was sharing my screen here. So our hypothetical store here is carrying 45 gallons maximum of these of this fuel. So let's go now and let's look at what occupancy classification that might be. Let's get back into our occupancy class calculator. Okay, so in this case, this is a retail store. So we're going to be looking at the display and sales of good usage. Now, first question, are hazardous materials used, stored, or displayed? Yes. Is the facility for motor fuel dispensing a gas station? No. Now, this is the fun one, right? So does the aggregate quantity of non-flammable solid, non-combustible, does that exceed the quantities? So right now, we've got the default to yes. Now, I'd like to go and see this table. So what I can do, and this is something you can do for every single one of these questions, I can click here, and you'll see we've got a little bit of a description here that explains what this is all about. We've also got the references here, and you'll see this box here. So if I click on this table reference, it's going to open a new tab, and it's going to take me directly to the code here and to the clause. So in this case, you can see hazardous material in group M display and storage areas in group S storage areas. So in this case, we said we've got the fuel. So we want to go look at this. Flammable and combustible liquids in wholesale and retails. Class IA, we said we've got 45 gallons, and we said that the building is sprinklered. So the limit is 60. So 45 gallons, we're under the limit. If I come back to this, then I'm going to say no. There's no aggregate quantity. And then that goes back to my occupancy classification is M for mercantile. And so every single one of these questions, as you'll see, have got a, actually these ones don't, I think because they're kind of an obvious one, but generally they'll have the references that you can use to go refer to that if it's a table or if it's a clause. When there's an actual calculation happening as well, we'll also give you a link to the equation. So in this case, I might say mercantile, but then perhaps in this case, because I want to be sure, I say limited up to 60 gallons of camp fuel per table 414.2.5, comma 1. So when I write a comment here, what's going to happen now is when I download my PDF, maybe I'll edit this project name. Instead, we'll call it camping store. And I'm going to download this PDF. It takes 1 second just while we prepare all that fun stuff. And you'll see now it's downloaded this. And now you can see my comments. This is showing now limited up to 60 gallons of camp fuel per table. Da, da, da. Okay, so I think I'm going to keep going, but if there's any questions, feel free to send them in the chat.
I guess, Dan, you saw the one about Revit. We do have a Revit add-in, but I'm not sure what the integration they're referencing there.
Yeah, so the Revit add-in is available and is a part of the premium tool set as well. The calculators can be referenced from Revit and vice versa. And as far as we continue to build these out, more tightly coupled integrations are absolutely something that we are exploring. And the same is true. I saw the question about AI. Same with our AI navigator. So a lot of the logic that's driving these workflows and these questions to ultimately lead you to the decision, the occupancy classification, or the heights and areas requirement, is taking our AI Navigator considerations into effect to validate all these decision trees being consumed.
That's right. And if I can actually show something, I'm gonna go a little bit off the script here, but with the AI Navigator, something that I wanted to show, it's actually pretty cool. If you go to the AI Navigator for the very basic occupancy classes, I'm gonna say X on this. Sorry, Dan.
No, that's okay. You can
I'm
come back
going
and fill
to,
that out later.
yeah, I'm going to write, say, what is the occupancy class for a post office? It's going to take a second. It's searching through all the codes right now, so it's pretty cool how it does that.
And while it is generating that, Laurent, I will point out that you're in the iCodes 2024. All the respective states and all the different cycles of the iCodes are selectable here, where the AI Navigator will take that into account for
That's
where
right.
it derives its answer from and the references that it based its answer on.
That's right. Exactly. And thank you for bringing that up. I'm on the wrong code for this example, but we'll pretend here. And I don't think that's actually changed between 2021 and 2024. But if I say a post office, it's going to say business group B, right? Which is a pretty obvious one because it's directly cited in the code. What I will say with this, and working for a technology company, we're painfully aware of this. AI, and I'm sure most of you have experimented, played with ChatGPT a little bit. You've probably seen that AI can do a thing called hallucinations and or get things wrong once in a while. And so this works very well for very, very quick checks like this. The reason that we focused on the compliance calculators, especially for the occupancy class, is that as of today, the more complex paths about all the questions and stuff like that, our AI doesn't quite support that right now. And so this one is a deterministic, you are guaranteed, you know exactly, it's following the code. That's what we're going for, so that you don't have to wonder if the AI is 95% right or something like that.
And even if you disagree with the calculator output, the goal here is through the intermediate prompts that you are shown how the answer is being derived. So if you want to change the prompt or you want to challenge it, you know exactly where your interpretation went different from the calculator, or ideally, verification that what the calculator is providing you is something you align with.
Exactly. Exactly. Great. And I see we got a question from Claude about incidental use. That's one that's not in there right now, Claude, but again, we've got a lot of cool things coming up, and that'll be one of them, I'm pretty sure. Okay, I'm going to hop back in now, and let's look at our next example. So this is going to be with our other calculator now, the allowable area calculator. And again, I pulled this one straight from Digital Codes Premium, the commentary on the IBC. So we're going to actually get two examples in one for this one. You'll see they're very similar to each other. But basically, we're looking at the allowable area for each floor in a 3-story building with type 2B construction and no increase for frontage. And so you've got the answer here. This is actually when we build these calculators behind the scenes, we actually use examples like this to validate that our results are correct. And we've built some automated testing around that makes sure that this is accurate, and it keeps testing it continuously in case there's a bug that sneaks in or something like that. But so let's look at this. Allowable area for a 3-story office building, type 2B construction, no increase for frontage. So let's hop back into the compliance calculators. And here we are. I'm going to create now the allowable area calculator. So this time, just for the sake of time here, I'm going to skip the edit project lead info thing, but you could always add your address, add all this fun stuff again. But for now, I'm going to stick to this. So occupancy class for a office building, that's going to be occupancy class B. My sprinkler system, we didn't actually mention that in the example, but it's going to be just no sprinkling. And my construction here is going to be type 2B. So I've got now for a 1-story, my allowable area per story is 23,000 square feet. If you look at the area now, I've only got one. So if I wanted to add another story, what I would do is I would just type 2nd story, area 5,000. Now, there's different ways that we can do this, right? So by default here, we've just got 5,000. We can just type that and it's going to be 5,000 square feet. And here I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Then I could also, if I wanted, type it in like Excel. So I could do, say, 50 times 100. And you'll see it automatically calculates the 5,000 as well. Now, if you've got a very strange project, and maybe they give you actually it's 500 square meters, you could also do this. Okay? Or maybe, you know, perhaps a bit more realistically, you've got 2 acres. And automatically it'll convert it to square feet. Now, this is a huge, huge building. So we'll go back to the, call it 500 meters squared. But the idea here is it's completely aware of units. We'll handle the conversions for you, whether you put that in acres and square feet, square meters, hectares, you name it. Any unit of area is going to work here. You can also do math like this, so just 50 times 100, or you could just input the number straight up. So that's with any box where you're typing in numbers, it'll always do that for you automatically. And again, this is something that behind the scenes for us, I'm sure nobody here has ever made a mistake with units ever in their life, except for me maybe. I know that it's a pretty common thing when you're dealing with designs. We've got a fair bit, you know, from experience, a lot of mistakes come from units. And so this is one of the checks that we do both on your inputs to help you, but also everything that gets calculated behind the scenes. So when you see the square feet here, for instance, it's all automatically validated by the calculator as well. So if something doesn't make sense, if for some reason you're putting in an equation and it ends up in kilograms instead of square feet, we're going to throw you a flag and say, hey, something's not right here. But anyways, coming back to this example, you can see now this was a very simple one, and we haven't touched the frontage increase, but basically you can see in the table for this combination of building type, we've got 23,000 square feet, and our total allowed area is 69,000 square feet. And then I can see for each story, I can get 23,000, 23,000. All of these are passing. So if I put in 25,000, I get a big fail, and it's telling me that this area, this story is failing because it's over the limit. So I'll go back to 5,000. Now, if we go back to our example and we look at the total allowable area for a 5-story building, like the one in example 3, we're basically just going to add 2 more stories, right? And so let's go right back into this. We'll add story 4, story 5, and then we'll add, let's just do 5,000 again. Now you'll see our total area remains 69,000 square feet, and that's because of the SA factor. So after the 3 stories, you don't get more building area per story in most circumstances. So again, now if I have a 25,000 square foot floor, I'm going to get the red X. But if I also have, say, 22,000 on 3 floors, my total building area ends up at 76,000 square feet, which is more than the 69,000 total allowed. So we also show you the fail in this case. So this is just a quick check again. You can get the big red X if there's something wrong, if something doesn't fit the allowable area, or if it's passing, then you don't need to worry. And again, I can download my PDF document here. Now in this case, it's not going to have the project information because we didn't fill that out. But if I open this, you'll see I've got the big fail here, so it makes it pretty obvious. If, for instance, I change it back so that it's passing, you can see the big green pass. I'm going to hit the download PDF again real quick, and you'll see now we've got the big green pass on the PDF report. The reason we put that right there in the corner is because we heard some feedback from plan reviewers that they liked when they've got the big stack of paper to just quickly go through all the pages and see the big green or red every single time that they check this. So that was the idea here to make a little thing to help your day go a little bit better, hopefully. Okay, so that was our first example here with the allowable area. Now, I think that the big one here where it gets a little bit tricky, and I'll be honest, it took me a while to understand this one the first time we did this, is the frontage factor. So that can get a bit tricky. There's a lot of tables involved. There's a lot of different rules about what's the opening width and what's the percentage of your perimeter that's open and closed. So let's go now and look at this example here where we've got a mercantile occupancy type VB construction, 1 story, and then the S1 sprinkler system. And we've got here the picture here that's showing basically the geometry. Again, this is coming straight from the commentary. Very simple example that probably is a bit more complicated in the real world when you're doing it, but I'm going to show this just to show you the principle of how this works. And as always, please reach out if you've got any questions. If you've got a building that you're not sure how to enter, reach out to us and we're here to help you. So I'm going to hop back into our compliance calculator now. And I'm going to now put in occupancy class is mercantile, so M. And at some point we should have this actually directly connected. So if you did an occupancy classification, you'll be able to actually connect this with this. Sprinkler system S1, construction type 5B. And now this is a single story building, so we're going to actually remove the other ones. And in this case, our building is a 100-foot by 200-foot, so 20,000 square feet. And now I'm going to go to my frontage input table. So you can see already my allowable area right now is 36,000 square feet. And that's based on the table with this combination. So we're all good, but now I want to see with my frontage input. So let's take a second. Let's go back and look at the picture here. So we've got a 100-foot by 200-foot building. One side's got a 15-foot clearing. This one's got 25 feet. This one's got 20 feet. And this one's got 40 feet. So those of you who deal with this every day, you probably know by heart, if you're less than 20 feet, it doesn't count. It doesn't count as open. And then when you're over 20 feet in the IBC 2021, and thank you, Claude, for mentioning that 2024, the rules changed a little bit. But if you're in 2021, you use the smallest opening width. So in this case, it's going to be 20 feet. We can try to remember this. Now, again, we've tried to make this as accessible as possible for people who haven't necessarily done this every day. So let's go back and put these actual dimensions in the calculator. I'm going to hit this. I'm going to come back. So we said we've got 4 sides, right? With 100, 100, 200, 100, 200. Now let's go and do the open space width. And so we said the first one was with the 100-foot side. It's going to be 15 feet. The second one was 25 feet. The third one was 20 feet. And then the last one was 40 feet. So I can put that in here. Immediately you'll see our percentage of building perimeter to which the frontage factor applies is 83.3%. So basically, you can do the math, but it's basically going to be 500 divided by 600 because this 100 with the 15 feet doesn't count. If I wanted to see this, I can click on here as well. And then again, I can click on this reference and it's going to take me directly to the minimum percentage of perimeter right here. So that explains exactly how this works. So now that I've got this, I can see here my frontage factor for this one is 0.5. And so that's pulled, again, if I look here, directly from table 506.3.3, which is right here, right? The frontage increase factor, depending on the open space and depending on the percentage of building perimeter. And with that, then I can come back up and you can see my number in the table is 36,000 square feet. With the frontage input now, that takes me actually to 40,500 square feet. And so obviously I'm passing, I've got my green pass, I know I'm good. But that's how you would input the frontage input table. So you can put in all your sides. One thing that we do require is that you have at least 4 rows in this, 1 for each side of your building. It's not a lot of triangular buildings out there. So if you're doing that, then you can contact us and we'll be able to help you out. But generally, I think at least 4 is going to give you the numbers that you want. So that's the frontage input. Okay. And Mark has asked, can you re-explain what the frontage factor multiplied, the tabular value only? So that's a great question. So if you click for instance, on the allowable area for each story, we'll actually show you the equation that we ran. And so in this case, it's the tabular allowable area plus NS. That's the non-sprinkled allowable area. And I believe if I come here, my apologies, I'll have to pull that up, but basically the NS is from the code. If I go look in the code, we'll see it. And we've actually got an update coming up that's going to show this NS value directly. But right now, if I wanted to look at this, I could look at table 506.2, occupancy class M, non-sprinkled, and construction VB, actually the last one at the end. In this case, it's 9,000. So that's what the NS is. So it's basically doing 36,000 plus 9,000 times 0.5. I hope that answered your question, Mark. I'm going to take that as a yes. Okay, so I'm going to now go back into our presentation, and we'll wrap up with a final example here, I think, and this is for our newest calculator. Oh, Amon's telling us there's an error in the equation. We'll go take a look at that, actually. That's a strange one. This error thing here. Yeah, that one, you don't need to worry about that. When it says equation error like this, there's a bit of a bug with our platform, and you've got my apologies for that one. That's a great catch. That doesn't have to do with the actual numbers. It has to do with how we render the equation. How do we show the numbers? There's some weird stuff going on behind the scenes, but you can trust that the equations are running right. If there's some actual error with the numbers, there's going to be a lot of red showing up on your screen, and you can reach out to us and we'll double check it. But it's not going to error silently or something like that.
And Laurent, just to that effect, if you would scroll up to the top of the screen, because I just wanted to show that across all of these calculators, right in the header there is a prominent link. I know Phil called it out earlier in the chat as well, but we do monitor this actively. So any of these types of things as you're interacting with the calculators, you know, whether it is feedback or whether it's enhancement opportunities, please don't hesitate to submit those to us.
Absolutely, it makes a huge difference for us. That's literally how we know what to do best to help you and your work go better every day. And thank you, Mark. That's a really interesting comment that you brought up, that sometimes that there's a bit of mystery around the math for the NS number. So thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to go back now to our presentation here. So our final example here is going to be with our plumbing fixtures calculator. So that's one that we released recently. And again, I'm gonna pull one from the IPC commentary here. We've got a building here with 538 occupants for business, 115 for library use, and 82 for storage use. And you can see that they very proudly advertise their occupant loads on the front of their building. So we've got this building here. Let's go look at what plumbing fixtures we need in this case. So we've got, again, and I think that goes back to a question we got earlier about multi-occupancy. This is something that to some extent we're handling calculator by calculator. So you'll see the plumbing fixture already fully supports multi-occupancy calculations. And then as we improve on the other ones, as we add new ones, this is something that we've always got in mind as well. And so let's go jump into our plumbing fixtures calculator. Okay, so here we are, and it's going to be this one, plumbing fixture requirements. And I'm going to open this, and I'll zoom in a little bit. So in this case, we mentioned we had the business use, library, and storage. So we've got 3 different space types. So right now, we support up to 5 different space types. I'd love to hear if you've designed buildings with more than 5 and calculated the plumbing fixtures for that. Put us in the chat. We'd love to hear what were you designing. We kind of had a fun exercise as a team, just looking at like how many is reasonable, and we kind of landed on 5 should cover almost every building. But I'm sure someone here has done more than that, so let us know if you have. We're curious to find out. But in this case, I'll select 3. So space number 1 we said was business use. So I'm going to type in, and let me show you this actually. At the top, you can search here. So business right here. I can also filter by occupancy classification as well. So you can see all the different options here. In this case, it's building for the transaction of business. Space number 2, we said was a library. So in this case, if I do, actually, I'll just type it in. Libraries. And then the third one we said was storage. So that one I can filter directly to storage. I've got freight depots, good storage. So that, I'm going to do good storage in this case. And I'm going to select that. Now, this is where the fun thing happens. We've got the space details here. So we've got this table here where we basically ask you what is your occupant load for each space. We also allow you to enter your percentage of male-female distribution. In this case, because it's not specified, we're going to assume 50-50. But if you do have a situation where you want to overwrite that, you're obviously able to do it, and you can do it per space as well. So our occupant load, let's just go back real quick to our presentation and recall. So business 538, library 115, storage 82. So let's go back now to our calculator. If we look at this now, so we said business 538, library 115, storage 82. And here's the cool thing. We're done. That was it. So now that we've got this, if I just want my total number of water closets or lavatories, 16 or 12, I probably want at least a male-female distribution here, and I need to know my drinking fountains. So this is where I'd encourage you to look. The total table here. So I can see water closets, I need 8 male, 8 female, total of 16. Lavatories, 6, 6, 12, and then 6 drinking fountains. If I then wanted to go into more detail, say for the water closets, you can see, for instance, for business, I actually need 6.38, 6.38, total 12.8. Libraries, the ratio for male and female are different, so I need more for the female water closets than for male. That's already accounted for as well, and then the good storage is there as well. Same thing with the lavatories, same thing with the drinking fountains, and then obviously we also need the service sink. So if I go back up now, the main thing coming up, if I wanted to, again, I can click on this and I can open the IPC chapter, and it'll take me directly to the clause, the relevant one as well, right here. And the last thing I wanted to bring up, that's right, is when we add these, you'll notice if I do 6.38 plus 0.46 plus 0.41, I believe that adds to a number above 7, so that's 8. We do the rounding after we add the decimal places, because otherwise we'd get, if we round it up, we'd get 7, 1, 1. We'd end up with 9 water closets for males, but actually, because we do the rounding after, we end up with 8. So just something to keep in mind, because I know that that's a question that we've had before, and I think that's an important one because, well, it saves you a little bit and it gets you the most accurate and code compliant calculations. Same thing, by the way, with the lavatories as well. And so with that accounts for this. We've also got here the multi-facility for all gender calculation as well. So if you've got a building that is using multi-facility for all gender, you'll also see the total number of water closets and lavatories needed for each occupancy class. So that's a calculation that we do as well per the code requirements. We've also got, if you've got single user facilities, so maybe you've got 2 single user facilities, automatically will let you know, okay, you've got 2 single user facilities with 2 water closets in this, and then it shows you the remainder that's needed for the rest. Okay, so that's the plumbing fixture requirement. Again, if I want, I can go download the PDF report. I can edit the project info. All of this works on every single calculator. So with that, I'm going to come back to our presentation, and I'm going to say thank you. Thank you all for joining and your attention and checking out the compliance calcs with me today and with Daniel today. We've put a lot of work into this, and we're putting a lot more in to help you every day with your calculator needs and when you're checking your code requirements. So reach out. Again, we want your feedback. We want to make this better for you. We're very active on this. If you tell us something that we can do better, we will most likely go and do it. We are very, very, very based on helping you, our users, be successful. That's the only thing that we care about. And so we're here to help you. Please reach out. If you've got any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them now.
We are monitoring chat. If someone wants to raise their hand, if it's a verbal question, we can do that as well.
So I see Claude asked about accessible fixtures in Calcs. That's not something that we've got right now in the calculator. Again, I'm going to take this as feedback for us. These are things that we can bring into the calculator as well, based on the code requirements. For us, there's always the exercise in prioritization with these things as well, but certainly it's something that we're aware and it's on our roadmap at some point to be done. I think Steve, and I saw a couple questions about this, about the different versions for state modifications and or for the year of publication. That's something we're going to be starting with the year of publication based on the overall iCodes. That's going to be coming in the next 2 to 3 months, I'd expect. So that's our idea here in terms of you'll be able to see 2018, 2021, 2024, and someone mentioned the 2024 edition, for instance, for the frontage factor, the rules are different, so you'll be able to switch back and forth. And if you want to compare the same project with both, you'll be able to do that as well. And then I think after that's done, we'll be looking at adding different states exactly when they've got different versions or different modifications for requirements. And so we'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and especially if you've got some clauses that are particularly, say, spicy for you when you deal with them in your state, we'd love to hear about them, and that then help us prioritize as well. Okay, if we've got the calculator per floor or for the overall building, so that's going to be with the plumbing fixtures. This calculator is based on the overall building, not per floor. If you wanted to use per floor, though, there's no problem. You would just change the occupancy load to be representative of that floor, basically. And if I just look here, do we use what other calculators are anticipating coming down the road? So for the next few months, we're actually going to be diving deep into the occupancy classification calculator. That's going to be adding basically, so right now we support, you'll have seen commercial use. We're just about to release residential use as well. And we'll also be adding basically every other occupancy class in there. So you'll be able to just do every single one in that calculator. Like I said, right now it's limited to commercial, but very shortly that's going to be changing. So that's where we're focusing most of our efforts. And after that, we've got some ideas in our mind. But to be honest, I'd much rather hear from you, and I think Daniel will agree with me, we'd much rather hear from you what you think is the most valuable, what you think is the most important, what's going to save you the most time. So send us your feedback. You've got a real opportunity here to influence our roadmap, to decide what we're going to do next and help you with. So send it along. So I'm not going to make any promises as to what we're doing next, but I will promise that if you send us something, we'll consider it, and it's most likely going to be on the roadmap.
And whether that's through feedback on the page or here in the chat, I think that's a great call out, as we'd like to know, of the calculators you've seen today, what do you want to see next? What's a valuable calculation or challenging computation that you face on a daily basis that you'd like to see ICC and ClearCalcs help you solve?
Exactly. Oh, and I see some people sending some ideas in the chat already. So thank you for that. That's awesome. That's really great. We've got a question from Ray Hudson here about beam calculators and if they're available with a premium subscription. So yes, great question. Let's just hop into the compliance calcs real quick. And you'll see right now we've got the beam analysis, for instance. We've also got the concrete pier footing that's based on the IBC formulas. And that one's cool because it also includes the concrete checks for the ACI code as well. But the beam analysis, that one's available right now for everybody on DCP. And this is, if you've done engineering in school, you'll recognize these shear moment deflection diagrams. And so you can put in your stiffness, we'll calculate your moment demand, your shear demand, your deflection demand as well. So this is something that it's not quite directly linked to specific code clauses right now, but more about these are things that you'd be calculating when you're doing design for the code. That was part of our original pilot project that we did originally with ICC like Dan said, a year and a half ago already. And so this is something though that again, we'll take the feedback here though about like beam calculations per IRC per those tables or per IBC if we want to refer to those tables there as well. That's something that we can put on our roadmap, absolutely. Okay. And ICC links to NFPA. We don't have those ones in the calculators right now. However, as we do more stuff related to fire, for instance, absolutely we'll be able, I believe, to add the links there as well. And Dwayne's asking, where's the calculator actually located? Great question. Let me go one last time and go back to the dashboard here. When you're in your dashboard, when you go to codes.iccsafe.org, menu on the left, and you'll see codes, you've got the code intelligence, and we've got the compliance calculators right here. So you can always access this.
And then likewise, Laurent, if you want to show the alternate path, for those that are signing in, they're going to be routed to the dashboard page. So there is a quick menu on the right-hand side of the dashboard as well. So if you hover there over Premium Complete in your account menu, and then you click on the row that says Premium Complete, yeah, go ahead and click on that. So that'll take you to your dashboard. The application will actually route you here automatically. And yeah, you'll see that the Smart Intelligence tools are linked here in the menu as well.
That's right. So you've got the compliance calculators right here.
Laurent, stay on that same page. Go up to the top where that question mark is and just click on the question mark. I see some people said they're having challenges next to the Premium Complete, the orange one there. Having challenges access, we're not sure exactly what it is. Yes, you do need to have a license with it. If you have some intermittent problems or challenges that send feedback, that's where Laurent is right there. The send feedback is also down there. You run into something that doesn't seem to work right, or you got a question, the send feedback button, if you click on there, brings up the form, and that does get looked at same day. If you're having additional problems, I did post my email address in there. Anything about Digital Codes premium features, feel free to contact me. I don't know if you were sharing your email address. If you are, feel free to post it in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
And Dan, any other closing comments from you before we close it up at the top of the hour here?
Now, the one thing I will offer, and again, like Phil said, feel free to reach out to us if you're having any challenges getting the calculators to render, but they are delivered to the screen through an iframe. So that's one thing to make sure if you're accessing it from your office or via a VPN, is to make sure with your IT team that iframe resolutions are allowed. Otherwise, that could prevent some of the interactions that Laurent was showing here from being accessible to you.
That's a really good point. Thank you, Daniel. Okay, well, I think we'll wrap it up here, and thank you everybody for the great questions, the great comments, and the great feedback that you sent. Really appreciate this, and I hope this was helpful. And I've just posted my email in the chat. Feel free to reach out directly if you've got any questions about this. Obviously, if it's about the calculators, if it's about DCP, I'd encourage you to use that feedback button on the website because that's going to go directly to the ICC people. But if you've got questions, for instance, about specific thing in the calcs, you can reach out to me directly. To be honest, I'm just going to forward that directly to the ICC team anyways. But if you've got questions about clear calcs, for instance, as well, I'm more than happy to answer anything there, and you can reach out to me directly. Well, thank you, everybody.
Fantastic. Yeah, thanks, everyone.
Appreciate everyone's time. We'll end the recording now. Posted my email in there. If you got general questions about how to acquire Digital Codes Premium, please contact me. Thank you, everyone. As mentioned, we will send the recording out probably next week to all registrants. Have an excellent day.
Bye-bye.